friends, we meet in very difficult times for the country. What we are witnessing today in the country is nothing short of a complete collapse of all democratic norms and all democratic institutions. We are left with only a show or the carcass of democracy in this country. If you really look at the situation in the country today, there is virtually no functioning or effective democracy left in this country. We are seeing people being jailed for putting up posters critical of chief ministers or the prime minister. We are seeing people jailed for fact-checking news and pointing out what is fake and what is true. We are seeing people jailed for calling out hate mongers and hate speech. And we are seeing people who openly call for genocide and violence on minority communities, who openly on video threaten to rape Muslim women. They are walking around free because they are either ministers in this government or they are spokesmen of the government at the center, or they are people who are affiliated to the Sangh Parivar. We are seeing an open and brutal assault on minorities. If they protest anywhere against anything, their houses are being demolished by what is called bulldozer politics, which is so totally illegal because firstly you cannot punish anybody unless you have proved his crime in a court of law. Even if you accuse somebody of rioting, etc., you have to prove that charge in a court of law before you can punish him. And in any case, bulldozing or destroying his house is not a punishment prescribed under any law. But unfortunately, we are seeing all this brazen violation of democratic norms, of fundamental rights, of the rule of law going on under the gaze and the eyes of the judiciary, and the judiciary is doing very little to stop it. Other than speeches and talks, yesterday the Chief Justice gave a very good talk about how people are being unnecessarily, indiscriminately arrested. Thereafter, the process becomes the punishment for them because they run from pillar to post trying to get bail. Like Mohammad Zubair, there are 6 FIRs in different districts of UP and in Delhi, etc., which have been made against him. He gets bail in 2 or 3 of those cases. He is arrested in other FIRs, though they may be on the same charge. The Chief Justice highlighted that the most brutal violations of fundamental rights and bodily integrity are being made inside police stations, where people are being brutalized, beaten up by the police themselves. And all this is going on, and all that we can do and all that some of the judges can do is to talk about it without really doing anything effective, or virtually doing very little effective to stop this brazen and naked violation of democratic norms, fundamental rights and the rule of law that is going on in this country. On the other hand, we see absolutely naked crony capitalism in the country. I was just reading a news on the way here that coal generating companies have been asked to buy at least 10% imported coal. Electricity generating companies have been told and mandated that they must use at least 10% imported coal. And the contract for importing this coal, a more than 4,000 crore contract, has been given to Adani. And the price at which they will sell this coal to the electricity generating companies is 7 to 10 times the cost of the domestic fuel. Adani Group has grown by more than 20 times in the last 10 years. It has been given virtually all monopoly institutions like ports, airports, power generating plants. Everything is being given to this one group. I mean, we are seeing crony capitalism of a kind which we had never seen before. They are permitted every kind of violation of the law, of the rules, every kind of illegality when they bid, when they win a contract for distributing electricity in a open bid. Then they say कि no, we will not adhere to this price because our cost of imported fuel has increased, coal has increased. When the coal is being, they own the coal mines in Indonesia and Australia, etc. Coal is coming from their companies and they say that our price of coal has increased, therefore the electricity price must be increased, even though the law says that if you have won it in an open bid, you are obliged to supply electricity at that price. You cannot ask for an increase in price, etc. That's your business risk. But this crony capitalism, you see, one is the assault on the minorities, the spreading of hatred on minorities, which has become rampant, especially in BJP ruled states, etc. Then there is assault on the rule of law by and on democratic rights by trying to silence and charge activists, journalists and other people who speak out against the governments. Now this is going on, of course, primarily again in BJP ruled states or where the police is controlled by the BJP, but it is also being done by many opposition governments. And I believe it is also happening in the state of Kerala. This crony capitalism that we are seeing, where this Adani company is being favored, is across the board. It's not just, of course, Adani is a special favorite of Mr. Modi. He is a special friend of Mr. Modi. But we are seeing that even states which are ruled by CPM or Congress, etc., are also favoring Adani. I am dealing with a case which is coming up tomorrow, where you see, in the coal judgment, in the Coalgate judgment, the Supreme Court said that coal blocks which were given without open bidding, they were cancelled, and they said in future they have to be given by open bidding. The only exception was that if they are given to public sector, then there need not be open bidding. So, coal blocks were allotted to public sector mining companies of various states, including one in Chhattisgarh, which was allotted to, without bidding, to the Rajasthan state-owned mining company. But that Rajasthan state-owned mining company, under the Congress government, sublet that coal block to Adani. And the Chhattisgarh government has allowed it despite the fact that that mining will cause devastation of hundreds of square kilometers of dense forest land there. Dense forest land. In violation of all rules and norms, etc., both the Rajasthan government and the Chhattisgarh government have colluded to allow this illegal subletting and the illegal mining from this mining block to Adani. Same thing we are seeing here in the Vizhinjam port. Vizhinjam port was a project which was given to Adani, originally by the Congress government. Thereafter, when the CPM government replaced the Congress government, they also wanted that, and they are doing everything to promote that, giving them mining leases for stone mining across Kerala, increasing the price that the Kerala government has to, the people of Kerala have to bear for this port. And the central government is in charge of environmental clearance for this project, and it is doing everything in its power to facilitate this project for Adani. So here we see all three parties, the BJP, the Congress, as well as the CPM here, have come together in this sort of naked crony capitalism of not merely giving a monopoly project or a monopoly port to Adani. Incidentally, Adani's Mundra port has become the international hub of drug smuggling. More than 25,000 crores of drugs have been caught at that Mundra port in the last 1 year. And virtually no action has been taken. And this port is being given to Adani despite the fact, this Vizhinjam port, despite the fact that it was known that it will cause enormous environmental destruction, particularly to the coastlines of this Trivandrum area. And I have been seeing this. I have been coming to Trivandrum over the last 10 years, and I have seen how the coast has come inwards, how the beaches have disappeared, how coastal houses, row after row, 3 rows of coastal houses have been destroyed by the sea because of the building of that wall which is being made for that port. Because that wall allows, the sand goes in one direction for half the year and in the other direction for the other half. Because of that wall, the sand does not go in the other direction, and therefore all the sand from the coast and the beaches is being just drawn into, and the coast is coming up, which is going to threaten in the years to come thousands of houses and also the airport here. But nobody is bothered. The NGT said that if there is any sign that the coast is being eroded, then this project will have to be relooked and other things will have to be seen. But the government institution which is in charge of seeing whether the coastline is being eroded says that no, coastline is not being eroded. Everybody can see. You can look at the photographs 5 years ago or 7 years ago and look at the photographs of that same area today, and you can see that hundreds of meters of coast has been destroyed. But, nothing is being done. It's astounding that this kind of project is being allowed to go on. And all governments are colluding, all parties are colluding to allow this to go on. And therefore, the only recourse for this is for the affected people and other people to stand up in solidarity and to engage in a street protest, and that is what has started. And I hope that will grow, because it is only the people's power which will be able to stop this kind of thing. We are seeing, other destructive projects also being pursued for various extraneous considerations even by the Kerala government. For example, this K-Rail project, totally destructive project, is going to cause devastation. Firstly, the project was taken up by the Kerala government without even a proper ground survey. This never happens, that without doing a proper ground survey, because Kerala is a hilly state, if you take a line through these hills, etc., you are bound to have lots of places where you will need to have tunnels, where you will need to have bridges, where you will have to cut the hillside, and so on. Therefore, you need a detailed ground survey for the alignment of this line. Without a ground survey, you have decided on an alignment, you have also decided that this line will be on standard gauge. You see, standard gauge is not the gauge which is used by the railways at all. So this will be a standalone line, which means that this line cannot be used by any other train. This line cannot, these trains which run on this line cannot go anywhere else. I mean, it's a totally harebrained project, and it's going to cost, I mean, almost 1 lakh crores. And the chief minister says, no, we are getting a soft loan from Japan, etc. But see, the loan may be on virtually no interest or hardly any interest, but the point is that it has to be repaid back in yen. And the yen appreciates every year because of the inflation here and no inflation in Japan. So therefore, ultimately you will have to, even the cost of paying back this loan will be unaffordable for the state of Kerala. But yet this destructive project was being pushed. I hope that better senses will prevail and this project will be stopped. So I will stop here, and I am now open to any questions that you might want to ask on anything whatsoever.
In the case of this Adani port, what is the way ahead, what we have to do? Because in Kerala there is a campaign that so much of money has been invested, lot of public money has been invested, and if their government is going back, it would create a bad precedent and it would show the world a negative image.
See, money is spent on many things sometimes which you realize are going to be destructive and not cost effective. And you can't throw good money after bad. If you have thrown some money in some bad place, you can't go on throwing your good money in that same bad place. So therefore, you have to cut your losses and retrieve, or at least not spend more bad money, and also not destroy the lives and livelihoods of thousands and thousands of people, destroy the homes of thousands and thousands of people, which is what is happening.
So the struggle has been on for the last 1 month. Nobody is even looking there, and there is an apathy, and perhaps you may be the only person from the national scene to visit that place. And how these people can move forward? Will they have small struggle? These people can survive, they can take on this mighty, unlike Adani.
You see, the K-Rail was affecting a lot of people because it was going through the whole state from north to south Kerala, and therefore there was a big movement against the K-Rail project. The Vizhinjam project right now has affected a few thousand fishermen, primarily fishermen, who live on the coastlines, etc. But in the time to come, it will affect many, many more people in and around Trivandrum. So I feel that a lot more people in Trivandrum, and even those who are not going to be directly affected. You see, the Kovalam beach will disappear in a few years. So therefore, even people who are not directly affected, whose house and whose livelihoods are not directly affected, should join the struggle, because it will have a very serious environmental impact. And you see, this port was not even required, because there are many international ports. There is one in Cochin, there are others in Tamil Nadu, etc. There are many large ports in South India, so therefore international ports in South India. You don't need to make this port. Any other question, or we can wind it up?
The national issue, national importance. What is the opinion of banning some words in Parliament?
It is absurd. You see, what this government is doing is, it wants to prevent any criticism of the government whether inside parliament or outside parliament. So they are saying you cannot call the Prime Minister a Jumla Jivi, a person who just makes tall claims, who says, for example, he said that this we will bring back all black money and put 15 lakhs in the pocket of everybody. Then this Mr. Amit Shah said that this is a Jumla. Jumla means a tall claim, not meant to be effectuated. So you can't call somebody a Jumla Jivi. You can't call somebody a liar. You can't call somebody corrupt. I mean, what is all this? There is firstly freedom of speech, and Parliament is a place where there can be and must be open debate. Unfortunately, you see, today Parliament has been reduced to a mockery where laws are being passed in 5 minutes without any discussion. No law is being referred to any parliamentary committee where the stakeholders can be heard, etc. Many laws are being passed as money bills so that it doesn't even have to go to the Raj Sabha for becoming a law. Just passing it in the Lok Sabha, it becomes a law. And this is one more knife in the heart of our parliamentary democracy that this government has struck, which is to outlaw even words like Jumla Jivi or... Thank you very much.